you found why we are Christians. My name is Kent Philpott, and we are right in the beginning of our second interview with Gerard Bachkes, and he's in France, Nice, I think. And now we have something better. We have him with his wife, Brigitte, and she is now here. Hi, Brigitte.
Hi, hello.
Nice to see you. You guys are
Yes.
a lovely couple, I can tell.
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit, Brigitte. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in North Africa, Algeria, and when I was around 16, I came back to France.
Okay, all right. And where did you guys meet?
We met in Belgium, Brussels. I was as a missionary working with, after 4 years of Bible school, I was working as a missionary at ICI, International Correspondence Institute. Today is Global University. And Gerard came to Brussels to study.
All right.
To school.
So you fell in love, Gerard,
Yes. Well, you see,
and then the trouble
the Bible,
started.
the Bible school was just okay, once there, but it was just under the building of ICI. So ICI was on I don't remember, the third floor, and the Bible school was on the second floor. And in fact, it was forbidden for students to go to the third floor, but they made an exception for me. Yes.
So, what was kind of religious background were you growing up, Brigitte?
Um, I had no religious education until I was 7 because my parents got divorced. I was 6 months old. I was a tiny baby. And my mom remarried. I was a year and a half. And my stepfather was Catholic. But my mom didn't want me to have any religious education. She was deeply hurt. But when I was 7 and a half, I went to some on Thursday afternoon to some meetings held by missionaries, Methodists, and that's where I began to hear about the Bible.
All right. So, how old were you when you became a Christian?
Oh, later on, when I was 7 and a half, I gave my heart to the Lord for the first time. Then uh, I went to church, but when I was 13, I became very rebellious, and I came back to the Lord when I was 16, 17.
Okay. All right. Very good. So, now how old are you guys, Gerard? How old are you when you guys got married?
That was in 1977, so I was 28, and Brigitte was a year and a half older
Okay.
than me.
How
So
about, were you a hippie too?
No, no, I was not a hippie.
You weren't a
I,
hippie.
no, but I was more philosophical. My
Okay.
master was Jean-Paul Sartre, existentialist, and you
O-
hear about
Okay.
no God.
Okay. All right. Now I got to ask you about kids. Do you have any kids?
Yes.
yes. Hmm.
Well, tell us about your kids, Brigitte.
Okay, we have one daughter. She is 35, 36, and she has two daughters. So we have two
So where
granddaughters.
did you go to school, Brigitte? What did you do?
So um, I went to school in Algeria, then to France. Then after, when I was 21 years old, I went to Bible school in Brussels, Belgium, and I studied there 4 years theology.
All right. Okay. Very good. So after you got married, where were you living?
We were living in Brussels. I was as a missionary with ICI, and Gerard was a student in Bible school.
Now, Gerard, when you went to Siberia, did you
Yes.
guys go together?
No.
No, not in Siberia. The Siberia I went alone. Brigitte came with me later on when it was closer. It was in St. Petersburg, you see, and so she came with me to Russia. Yeah.
Okay. So now you've got a long resume, Gerard, in terms of education. Continental Bible College, Assemblies of God Graduate School. Did you become a flaming Pentecostal?
Oh yes, not really. I still am a Pentecostal, but I'm of the the gentle kind. Yes.
Brigitte,
I'm
we
not-
got you coming back over. There you go. There you go. There we go.
Yes.
Then you went to Southwest Missouri State University. Of course, you were with him, Brigitte.
Yes, I was,
yeah,
yes.
So you liked Missouri?
Yes.
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 Yes, nice
Yeah.
place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Good
hillbillies.
Midwestern
We-
state. My family background is Midwestern too. And then the Institut Catholique de Toulouse in France. So you went to a Catholic university
Yes.
Yes.
and you studied biblical exegesis and history.
That's right.
You have a
But Brigitte
broad
too.
background.
Brigitte was too. In,
Me too. I went to Toulouse also.
Mhm.
I went to that university also.
Mhm.
And when we were in Springfield, I got a degree also at cross-cultural communication. That's why now I can go to Africa and teach there.
Oh, Brigitte, I just came to my mind. How many languages do you speak?
Oh, English, French, Spanish, and I understand some Italian and Portuguese.
Wow.
But fluently English, French, and Spanish.
I speak one language poorly. That's English.
No, you're very good.
Okay. Oh, here's the Bordeaux.
Yes.
You went to the University of Michael de Montaigne in Bordeaux, France,
Oh, Michel de
and
Montaigne, yes.
also the University of Michael, and then Logos University.
Logos
Logos.
University, yes. Uh-huh.
That's where we
Okay.
teach. That's where we teach in Burkina Faso in Africa.
Degrees. I see you got an honorary DD, Gerard.
Yes, I got a DD, yes.
Now, what did you do to get that?
How did I get that? Well, suddenly I was notified by the Logos University. You see, they have an antenna in Africa, and that I was on. Well, that yes, I might possibly get a DD degree, and that I had to be ready for that. So, and that's what happened. You see, I was on the long list, and I was chosen. So, I said, good. Because I never, see, at a certain point, I was working on the doctorate, and I never could finish that because I was involved in too many things, and yes. So I said, okay. I took that from the Lord, and it was something that enables me to teach in various places.
I am teaching too in Africa and also in a hospital. I train the doctors and the nurses on counseling because I have a degree in counseling.
Okay. So, wow. You guys, European people have much broader educational experience than I would say most Americans. All my education is here in California and pretty limited.
Well,
So-
I'm not sure. I read some of your books, and I can tell that you have yes, plenty of
Training.
education, plenty of training. Yes.
Now I see you say, Gerard, my wife, Brigitte, worked at the ICI Global University in
Yes,
Belgium
yes, Brussels.
from 73 to 1980. Now, tell us, what were you doing, Brigitte, at this global university in Belgium?
I was translating and then supervising translators for 9 European languages. So
Wow.
the courses by correspondence, theology, and all kinds.
Wow. You guys, but now where are you? It says Villeneuve-d'Ornon,
Yes,
or something close. And where is that in France?
in Bordeaux, southwest in Bordeaux.
Okay, okay. And now, Gerard, how did you get to the church where you are now?
Okay, when we finished our training in the United States, we had the possibility to come to a church in France, and the pastor there wanted me to be one of his associates. So I entered the ministry, and it was the equivalent of the Assemblies of God in the United States, Assemblée de Dieu de France. That's how we call them here, and that's where I started. And then later on, I was sent. I didn't choose that. They said, okay, we have this new Bible school in Bordeaux that's opening, and since you have that training, we want you to be there. And that's how I was a full-time teacher for 5 years.
Okay.
In that school. Yeah, at that
Now,
time.
Brigitte, do you preach?
I
Do the ladies in France here, do you get to preach?
Okay, the AGs don't allow the French ladies to preach, but I teach and I preach. Yes, I do. Not in our churches, but I do. In Africa and in some other churches.
Some other places, yes.
Some other places. I am invited, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My wife preaches sometimes.
Yes,
In fact, she's a very good preacher, Katie. The person you've been in contact with, she does, she's at least as good as me, at least. I don't know. But anyway, you're a wonderful couple to be pastoring. How long have you been at the church?
In the church, we started the church where we have now. We've been there from, it was 1989, in fact.
1989, okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, I started at Miller Avenue in 1984, so it's a good thing to say for a long time. Say also that you're involved in, or have been, radio gospel ministry in Bordeaux.
Yes.
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 Okay, and it says 1991 to 2019. Are you still doing that, Gerard?
I'm still doing that, yes.
You're still doing it. Tell me about that program. What are you doing?
Okay, I have two programs. One is it's called Bible dans l'histoire, a Bible in the History of Mankind. That's the French title of it, and in fact, I'm taking a portion of Scripture, and I have 12 minutes to explain a few things, and usually it's more like a sermon, in fact, but adapted to radio situation.
Okay.
And the other one is it's just music. So they don't know much about gospel music in France, the old-time gospel music that comes from the United States. So I have plenty of CDs and records from and I give that to the French people, and they love it.
And it's called?
Yes. All kinds of gospels, like the kind that you hear, Southern gospel that you hear on the Bill Gator videos and this type of things, but also black gospel. And sometimes I put Jesus music, the early Jesus music from the Jesus People movement as well.
Now I notice also you guys spent 2.5 years in the United States.
Yes.
What year was that?
From 1980 to 1982, 83.
Okay.
Yes, almost 1983. Yes, it was 2.5, almost 3 years. Yes.
And you say it was a great time.
Oh yes.
What were you doing here? And
We
where in the States did you come to?
We were essentially, of course, in Springfield, Missouri. But we traveled a little bit, and I had the opportunity to preach in fact, in a lot of churches We knew somebody from the Department of Foreign Missions there. It was uh, one of our friends, an older man, and he was. I've been preaching in some of the very well-known churches in the Assemblies of God. It was quite incredible, in fact, because I never expected to do that. Mhm. We went to the north, to Indiana, to all these places, yeah,
To the south.
to the south as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, the next sentence is, um, later on, after that, you came back to the United States, you had a regular ministry, I'm just quoting you, Gerard, a regular ministry in Russia, especially Siberia, and you say it was tremendous. Were you there too,
Yes.
Brigitte? You were
No,
there?
I went to St. Petersburg, but not to Siberia.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went different places, but Siberia was it was incredible because I've been preaching in one of these places where there were, these people had never heard the gospel before.
Okay.
Because it was the cities that were built during the communist era. And so no churches, nothing. And then it was so incredible. That was a kind of revival, very different, of course, from the Jesus People revival. But you would preach, and people would come, listening through the door, come in, fall on their knees, and gave their life to Jesus. We've seen that, a number of times, and it was incredible. They were touched in their hearts. Mm-hmm.
Now, in my information gathering form, I have a section called "The Worst of Times," and you said every time we experienced problems in the church was routine in France, but some problems were bigger than others. And then you say, you know the saying, one Frenchman equals one problem, two Frenchmen equals three problems.
Yes. That's the Canadians from Quebec say that. Yes.
See, I'm glad you said that, because now I know you're a real pastor. You guys are really doing it, because pastoring a church is not exactly the easiest thing you ever did.
No.
It's
Very hard.
I've done a few other things, a little bit of military, quite a bit of military. I was in legal business, and everything was really easy compared.
Yes, true.
You're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Yes.
and you never get the job done, right? Never get it done. Is it
That's
a
true.
small church?
Yes, it's a small church. Yes. It has been, well, from time we had some growth, and then it went down, and then growth again, and yes, but it's never been a very large church.
Okay. All right. Now, give me the typical thing that you find, both of you, that you find most trying as you're ministering to a flock of people in a church. Can you say that? I mean, your parishioners won't hear you, I don't think. What is the most trying parts of being in ministry in a church?
Yes, of course. Some people are very nice, and of course we have nice people in churches, you see, and but especially in France, the evangelical culture is not something that they know much about. You see, people come from a Catholic background, or they come from an atheistic background, and so when they come into an evangelical church, they sometimes they may function like they used to in the world. As I say very often, you see when you have a pastor as a group of elders, you see around him, and I teach that, in fact, in Bible school. I say, okay, when you're in Switzerland, for example, it's very nice because the Swiss, you see, they have this in their I think in their blood. They know how to function as a federation, and work together and everything. When you have the French people, okay, the pastor, you see, is like the boss, and the elders, it's like the union around him, you see. Then they're always saying, okay, we disagree. We
So,
disagree.
Brigitte,
And that's
how is it for you to be the wife of a pastor?
Well, I consider myself also as a pastor, but it's not easy to be a pastor's wife because the women around you, they are very jealous or whatever. But I used to say that my powers is bigger outside than inside. I do a lot of evangelistic outreach. See, I have lots of friends, and that's where I minister. That's where I minister. So it's not easy to be a pastor's wife because you have all the eyes on you.
Right. Now, Gerard, one of the things that I noticed when you said about yourself, you call yourself a pastor/teacher. Pastor/teacher. That's the exact way I refer to myself as well.
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah. The pastor is a feeder, the teacher. And they're what we call to use Greek terms, there's the didache, that's the teaching, and the charisma, the preaching. Gospel preaching, charisma, that's the Greek term for gospel preaching, and then the didache, we are didaskalos, teachers and preachers, and that's the primary function. And so now, we're just moving here toward the end of the program, you guys, and I'm going to ask you, both of you, what your favorite book is in the Old Testament, or I will refer to it as the Hebrew Bible. Gerard, what's your favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book is and has always been Genesis.
Now, why Genesis? Why Genesis?
Well, because it's...
Why not the Psalms or Isaiah or something? I know. Why Genesis?
No, it's true. I love, by the way, you mentioned Isaiah is probably a good second, you see, and of course But since you asked me to choose one, okay, it's Genesis, because I think it has the most beautiful stories, and it has the whole gospel in it. If you look carefully, I just love it. There's, that's it. And
Brigitte, what is your favorite Hebrew Bible book? Huh?
The book of Job.
What?
Job.
Job?
Job, yes.
Job, yes.
Say the word again.
The book of Job. Job.
Okay, tell me why.
Pourquoi?
Because Job suffered a lot. He was despaired, but at the end, the Lord gave him back all what he has lost.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Is that okay?
That's good. That'll work. Now, okay. Now let's jump to the Greek Bible, the New Testament. How about you, Gerard? What is your favorite book in the New Testament?
Okay, I think it's John's Gospel. You see, John's Gospel, the spiritual gospel, as some church fathers called it, and there's again, it has so much depth, and I've been teaching John's Gospel for more than 20 years, and of course, I love it.
I'm preaching through the Gospel of John myself right now. I go verse by verse, and I think about the fourth time in my life I've gone through the Gospel of John, but I love it. And it's wonderful. Brigitte, how about you? New Testament, what's your favorite book?
The Acts.
The Book of Acts, she said.
Book of Acts. All right,
Yes.
Book of Acts. I love the Book of Acts. You get the life of the really early church.
Exactly.
It's a fabulous book. Now, you talk about your favorite verse, Gerard, and it's Matthew 6:33
That's
from the
right.
Sermon on the Mount, which is, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God."
And his righteousness, and all the other things will be given unto you, right?
Exactly. Beautiful verse, right straight from the word, lips of Jesus himself. Seek ye first. That's an incredible thing. And, you know, the Sermon on the Mount, of course, he's speaking to disciples. He's speaking to disciples. And that's what we're to seek first. That's part of the thing of being a Christian, seek first. Okay, Brigitte, what's your favorite verse?
We need to talk about how to do it.
They were
In English, in fact, I have two verses. My favorite is Philippians 4:7. Philippians 4:7.
Okay. Wonderful,
And the
wonderful. All right, very good. I like to do this in a program because so many people that are not Christians don't understand how wonderful the Bible becomes to us. It's like the treasure. It's like a treasure that we have that we can read and read and read. And every time you read it, you're going to see something new. Passages that you thought you understand all of a sudden take off and you see something brand new. It never gets old. It's entirely fresh and new all the time. So that's a wonderful thing. I'm always trying to encourage people to read their Bible, memorize Bible verses. And have you memorized? You like to memorize verses, Gerard?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I do. I
yes.
memorize verses. Yes.
Yes.
And you
And,
too, Brigitte? Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you ever planning on retiring?
No.
Well,
No, I know. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say no. We never retire. I have people say, I'm at the church for 35, 36 years. They say, when are you going to retire? It says, when I drop dead. That's it. I'm never retiring. What's the point of
We'll be
retiring?
90.
you see,
We
it's,
never retire.
when you get a little bit older, that's when you really start to. I realize that now I know how to do things. You see? So should I retire?
Gerard and Brigitte Bachkes, I can't tell you how much fun it's been to interview you guys all the way back there in France. And I just want to say the Lord bless you and your church and your life and your kids. And thank you so much for coming on the program. Why we are Christians. Okay, we got to say goodbye to the Bachkes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And it's been such a pleasure. Be looking for new programs of Why We're Christians. So long.